afternoon or whatever you're watching this. I'm Tori and I'm going to lead you through a Hatha Yoga practice. It'll be a 40-minute practice this morning. And all you need really is a space. If you have a mat, that's great. If you'd like to do some of this in a chair, you could sit in a chair. Just make sure you have obstacles out of the way. And you might also like having a strap. If you don't have a strap, you could use a belt or a scarf or even a shirt with sleeves. And this is just to extend your reach at some point. And another useful tool would be a block or two. And of course, if you don't have these, you could use books, encyclopedias. If you still have encyclopedias around, those make good blocks, or anything to give yourself a lift. So I think that's all we'll need. Oh, also a blanket. I'm sitting up on a blanket right now. And you might like to join me here as we begin, seated with a cushion underneath your bottom. So what this does is allows your pelvis to tilt forward a little bit, and that way your spine can just shoot up tall like a stem. And if you have a tendency to slouch, this is a good way to correct that. So maybe grab a little blanket or pillow to sit on. Okay, and sit any way you feel comfortable. Legs crossed or your feet flat on the floor in your seat. And close your eyes. And take a couple moments to scan your body, noticing how it feels to be you right now. And that could mean you come with some tensions or aches or pains, some emotions, strong thoughts. All of that is welcome. Yoga is a very ancient practice originating from India. And in one of the primary yoga texts, it's stated that yoga is to stop the wandering of the mind. So what would that be like if we weren't thinking about the past, thinking about the future, planning or worrying, to just be here now, to come home, so to speak. That may seem easier said than done, so there's lots of tools we can use, lots of practices to help us feel more at home within ourselves. And one of those is the breath. So begin to notice your breath in and out through your nose if you can. And does it feel cool or warm? Heavy, light? Is it long or short? Deep, shallow? Notice the areas of your body that move as you breathe. And this could be the belly, could be your chest and shoulders, the sides of your waist, your back. And then lengthen your breath, slowing down your exhales so they're longer than your inhales. And if it helps, you could add a count mentally, maybe inhaling for 1, 2, 3, and exhaling perhaps 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just doing that again. Inhaling through the nose, 1, 2, 3. Exhaling through the nose, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time on your own. And bring your hands together in front of your chest, palms touching, like you were gonna say your prayers. And if you'd like, you can bring to mind a gratitude or an intention for your yoga practice or for your day. Maybe it's to feel more at ease, more at home. Maybe it's to remind yourself to breathe. Maybe you're thankful for being alive today, for waking up. And then take a deep breath in. This time exhale out the mouth. Begin to rub your hands together. Excuse me. And once your hands are warm, you can place them over your eyes. Blink your eyes open, and then take the hands back down. Namaste. All right, so let's begin. You can stay seated. Maybe crisscross your legs the other way just for balance. And we'll go through some poses, some asanas, to warm ourselves up. So let's start with the neck. Just very simply nod your chin down to your chest and then lift your head back up, either to neutral, or you could even tip the chin higher towards the ceiling. And just continue with that. Breathing naturally, maybe synchronizing an exhale as you drop the head and an inhale as you lift the head, or vice versa. Feel the opening across the front of your throat, even your tongue, and then the back of the neck from the base of the skull down, maybe in between the shoulders. One more time. And now bring your head back up to center and just tilt. One ear to one shoulder. Again, synchronizing, maybe an inhale to one side, and an exhale to the other. And feel the stretch from behind the ear, maybe down the arm, even past the elbow into the hand. You can open your mouth slightly, feel a little release in your jaw. Let's do one more each way. And then come back up to center. Keep your head still. Now inhale, stretch your arms out and up as high as you like. So they could pause kind of at an angle, or they could reach all the way overhead. Inhaling, reach up through the arms, just like big wings. And exhale, simply bring them back down. You can spread your fingers as you do this. Open the palms of your hands. Maybe looking up as the arms stretch. And bringing your head back to neutral or down as the arms come back down. One more time. If your shoulders feel a little more open, you can even touch your palms together and then lower the arms back down again. Okay, hopefully it feels like a little weight came off the shoulders. Now let's go for a side stretch. So you can take one hand out in line with your hip. If you're sitting in a chair, you could even hold the edge of the seat. And then other hand comes to the waist, the shoulder, or you could lift that arm up or even lengthen it alongside the ear. Light pressure in your bottom fingertips or hand. So you're using the strength of your side waist to support your upper body. And then come back up. Let's go to the other side. And you just tip over as far as you like. You may notice that there's a difference between sides. That's perfectly natural. And you can accommodate by maybe backing out a little bit on one side if you need to. Trying to keep these movements pain-free. Do a couple more. One of the guiding principles in yoga is called ahimsa, which means non-violence, non-harm. So you want to feel good in your body. Okay, last time. And then come back up and let's take a twist. So you could bring one hand in front of you, one hand behind you, prop yourself up, get tall, and then feel your belly button start to turn to one side. Keep your shoulders open, draw your head back just a little bit. Feel length through the back of your neck. Breathe. And then go to the other side. So either hands support you, could also hold on to a knee, or if you're in a chair, maybe hold on to the armrest or the back of the seat. And let's do a few more, just limbering up the spine. Hopefully you're starting to feel a bit warmer as you do this. Increasing our circulation. As you move, your heart rate might even elevate a little bit. That's all good. Okay, last twist here. And then come back to center. And if you'd like, I invite you to come onto hands and knees. Otherwise, you can stay seated in a chair. I'm going to use a blanket to pad my knees, just because it's more comfortable. So if you'd like, you can put a blanket underneath your knees and then place your hands under your shoulders. So if you're in a chair, you're going to do this seated, and I'll show you in just a moment. We'll go through some cat and cow movements for the spine. So toes can be tucked, or you could be on the tops of your feet. Find a neutral position in your back, a little lift in the belly muscles. And then take an inhale, stretch your chest forward, lift your tail towards the sky, maybe the head tilts back. And exhale, tuck the chin, drop the tail, round your spine and push into the floor. Inhale, let's curve the other way, opening up front of the body. Exhale, open up through the back of the body. And just continue with that, moving with your breath. If you're in a chair, it could look something like this. Inhale, maybe draw the hands back. Exhale, push the hands forward, tuck your chin round. One or two more. And then press yourself back into a child's pose. It's called Balasana. So the knees can go a little wider apart, and then rest your hips back towards your heels. You might be able to sit all the way back on them. It's okay if you can't. Walk your hands forward and let your head come down. So if your head doesn't come to the floor willingly, you could stack your fists and make a pillow for it. Rest your forehead. You could also grab a block or an encyclopedia. Rest your head there. And if you're seated, you're going to drape yourself towards your thighs. Maybe the hands slide down towards the floor, your legs. And let your back round here. That's okay. Breathe into the back of your lungs. Let your shoulders relax. They can fall towards the floor. That's fine. And take one more breath. And then slowly come up. I'm going to take my sweater off because I'm warming up already. And we'll go into downward facing dog or Adha Mukha Svanasana. So if you are on the floor, I'll walk you through that version first. You'll come onto hands and knees, palms under your shoulders, fingers spread wide. Tuck your toes, knees under your hips, and then you're going to push your hands into the floor. Lift your knees away from the ground. Engage your belly muscles, stretch your hips back. You can walk your feet back or even out, especially if your legs are tight. Maybe bend the knees. and come into this inverted V shape. And this could maybe add a pedal, dropping one heel at a time towards the ground. Okay, staying here. It's actually a lot of work for the shoulders, so if you get tired, you just rest back in a child's pose. If you would like to do another version of this without coming down to the floor, you could come to a wall, which, let's see, maybe you could see from here. Your hands would come up to a wall about hip height or even higher. Push your palms into the wall, walk your feet back, and you're creating kind of a 90-degree angle, or it could be a wider angle if your hands are higher on the wall. And you're getting the same kind of effect, lengthening through the spine, pushing your palms against the floor or against the wall, drawing your hips back, maybe bending the knees if your legs are stiff. You could even pedal here. And then slowly come out of the pose, either resting in a child's pose or coming up to stand if you are doing this at a wall. Okay, now we all can come up to stand. And just make sure you have enough space. All right, and let's start with some half sun salutations. They're called Ardha Surya Namaskar. So your feet will go underneath your hips, toes point forward, and just map out your pelvis and your tail for a second. Sometimes we have a tendency to stand with a sway in the back. I sure do. So it can be useful to drop the tailbone down and engage the belly muscles so your pelvis is more neutral. And you might even feel your feet plant more firmly as you do that. Okay, relax your shoulders. Draw your head back just slightly, balancing the skull right in between the arms. Resting for a moment. And then take an inhale, stretch your arms out and up, reaching towards the sky. And exhale, bend your knees, reach your arms wide, and start to hinge forward. Show you from the side. Folding over your legs, hands can come to shins, they could come to blocks, or you might be able to touch the floor. Drop your head. Inhale, come up halfway, belly off of your thighs. Exhale, fold forward again. Drop your head once more. Push into your feet, engage the legs, lift yourself up. And exhale, lower your arms back down. So that's one round. Let's do a couple more. I think I need to stay further back for you to see me. Inhale, stretch the arms out and up. Exhale, fold forward. Bend your knees. Give your spine room to lengthen. Inhale, lift yourself up. Exhale, fold forward. Drop the head. Push into the feet, inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, arms down. You can also do this seated, so you just be moving your upper body over your legs. Inhale, wing out your arms. Exhale, hinge forward over your thighs. Relax your neck. Inhale, look forward. Open your chest. Exhale, bow back down. Push into your feet, inhale, come all the way back up. And then exhale, arms by your sides. Okay, now we'll move on to Trikonasana, or triangle pose. Just trying to stay in the computer screen. So take your feet wide apart, and let's start by turning the right leg out. Okay, so your hip opens, the toes point to the short edge of your mat if you're using one. Soft bend in your knee, and then just ensure the knee is over the center of your foot and not bowing inward. Okay? Anchor down through the outer edge of your back foot so your legs are strong. Open your arms out into a T shape. Take a breath in here. And then exhale, reach forward. bringing the whole side of your waist over that front leg. Lower your hand somewhere to maybe a knee or a shin. Could be a block or even a chair seat. Other hand can hold the hip, perch at your shoulder, or stretch up if that's comfortable. And take a few breaths here. Roll your belly, your ribs, your chest back like you could lean against a wall, which in fact you can if you want to bring yourself to a wall for support. You can always have degrees of the pose, so you could come up higher if you feel any pain or if you feel a little bit tight this morning or evening, wherever, whenever you're practicing. Take one more breath and then push through your feet, come up to stand, and let's do the other side. So you're just revolving your feet to the other side now. Again, ensure that knee aims over the center of your foot, anchor through the outer edge of your back foot, wing out through the arms, wide open chest, inhale. Exhale, stretch forward, touch your leg, a block, chair, whatever you can have access to. Hand to your hip, shoulder, or up with the arm. And you could even find a drishti, a gaze with your eyes, looking down at the ground, looking forward, or maybe even up towards your hand if it's safe with your neck. Again, roll your belly, your ribs, your chest open. Take one more breath. And then push through your feet, bring yourself back up to stand. Okay, now heel toe your feet in just a little bit, and let's make them parallel, and if anything, a slight pigeon toe. Okay, so you'll just have this wide-legged stance. Bring your hands to your hips, and then squeeze your elbows back together as if you were trying to sneak them behind your back. Let's stand tall here. Drop the tail to take off that curve in the lumbar spine. So not this, but this. Breathe in and exhale. Start to reach forward, coming into a fold, which could be halfway. Hands could go to a chair. They could go to a desk, whatever you have. They could go to blocks. They could also come down to the floor if you can touch. Might need to bend your knees for this. And then if you have more flexibility, you could bend your elbows back, drop the head. And take a few breaths here, noticing how it feels. Could be all kinds of sensations. Your legs might be very loud right now. You might feel it in your spine. And just remind yourself we're staying away from pain. Strong sensation is okay, but we don't want sharp pain or pulling. Rock your weight toward your toes just a little bit so we don't sink into the heels too heavily. Take one more breath. And then inhale, come up halfway. Bring your hands to your hips, engage your belly, strong legs, push yourself up to stand. Now if you feel lightheaded, tuck your chin and just rest for a moment. Okay, now we'll add another option here. So, where did my strap go? You can take a strap or a shirt with long sleeves, anything you have access to, and bring that behind your back. So you'll hold the strap or whatever in between your hands. Now, if you have pretty open shoulders, you might be able to clasp your hands behind your back with the palms facing each other. You could also hold your elbows if you don't have a strap, or you could just hold your hips again. So we'll do the same pose, but now with the strap. Feet wide apart. Keep tension on the strap if you're using it. Inhale, lift up through your chest, and exhale, begin to fold forward, bending the knees if your legs are tight. The further forward you go, the more intense it gets in the shoulders. So the hands will start to lift higher and higher up. And if you have more flexibility, they'll start to lower down towards the ground. But wherever you are, it's just important that your breath feels free, unimpeded, easy breath. All right, when you're ready, stamp your feet down, strong legs, lift yourself up. Release the strap, release the clasp, and just shake out through your arms, your shoulders, your legs. Okay. Now let's come into a lunge. And you could do this with a knee on the ground, or you could do this standing in front of a chair without your knee coming to the floor. So I'll show you two options. With the knee on the ground, you might want a blanket to pad your knee. You could also make use of your blocks if you'd like. So just begin, step your right foot forward, your left foot back, and find something for support. Blocks for your hands, the seat of a chair, a desk, anything in front of you. This would be your version with the knee off the ground. So you come to bend your knee so it stacks on top of your heel or your ankle, no further. Lift your back thigh towards the ceiling. You could be on the toes of your back foot and stay here to breathe. Other option, dropping your back knee down on the ground. Same procedure, knee goes on top of the heel. And try to lift your chest. And with both versions, if you want to test your balance, hands can come to your hips and you try to stand tall in the pose. Pushing down into your front heel can really help that. Even trying to drag your front foot, and your back foot, or front foot and back knee towards each other can give you a more stable sense of balance. Take one more breath. And then let's add a twist. So bring your left hand to the mat or to a block or chair, whatever you have. Right hand comes to your hip. Open your chest to the right. So you're just revolving your torso, legs stay the same. You could also lift up through that arm. Feel the opening from the center of your sternum out through your fingers. If you like, that back knee could be off the ground. Take one more breath. And then drop the knee to switch sides, or just step one foot forward, one foot back. All right, second side, easy side, because we've already taught ourselves how to do it. Find that angle, knee on top of the heel, something to support your hands. Back knee could be off the ground, in which case you lift the thigh towards the ceiling, push through your heel. Maybe stay here. Back knee could be on the floor. Pelvis will lower a bit more. Drag the feet or the foot and knee towards each other to lift yourself up. Can make it easier to balance. And these are so good to do if we sit a lot, which is kind of what we do these days. If you're working from home in front of a computer, if you're at an office, we do a lot of sitting. So make sure these muscles don't get so tight and bound that it starts to cause pain and we kind of close into that seated shape. Open up. Okay, you can add a twist here if you'd like. Right hand comes down, left hand to your hip, turn your torso, roll open through your chest. Maybe lift the arm if you like. Of course, you can have that back knee off the ground. Use the strength of your legs to stabilize yourself. Take one more breath. up to stand. Okay. Do one more standing pose here. This is tree pose or Vrksasana. So stand on your 2 feet. Shift the weight into your right foot now. Bring your left foot to your ankle, your shin, or your thigh. So you're avoiding the kneecap, otherwise there's a tendency to buckle. But where you do find a place to rest your foot, push your foot and your leg into each other like you could create a seal, and that can help with your balance quite a bit. Now you could do this with your hand on a chair or a wall. You could be up against a wall with your back, or of course you could do it freestanding. The palms come together, either in front of the chest. You could even open your arms up towards the sky like branches of your tree. Find a drishti, a gaze for your eyes. Helps to calm the mind. Steady gaze, steady mind. And then when you're ready, slowly release the pose. Shake it out if you need to. You got a little stiff. Other side. So now step into your left foot, right foot to the ankle, where your toes are just resting on the ground like a kickstand. That's fine. Shin or up to the thigh, your choice. And again, there could be a difference between sides, so don't feel like you have to force yourself to match right and left. Push the foot, push the thigh into each other, create that seal. And choose the variation where you could breathe the fullest, the deepest. Listen to your breath. It's like the wind in the trees. And when you're ready, step out of the pose, shake it out. All right, let's come down onto the mat or back to your chair to have a seat. Let's check the time. All right, we got a little bit longer. Actually, I think we can go slightly longer if Zoom allows me. We'll see. Okay, so have a seat. If you want to, cushion goes under your bottom. Could have a strap handy as well. Legs out straight-ish if you're on the floor. I say ish because if your hamstrings are tight, you're going to want to bend your knees and maybe even place pillows underneath them for support. So the preference is to keep the back long and sit tall without slouching or rounding your spine. If you're in a chair, you could have your legs out in front of you with your feet flexed. They'd be at an angle. And I'll do a chair class soon, so if that doesn't make sense, you'll understand later. Okay, so this pose in and of itself is called Dandasana or staff pose. It's a great way to imprint better posturing of the spine. So if you have long arms, your hands can be beside you with your elbows bent. Maybe your arms are straight, pushing down into the floor. Legs are active. A little tone for the thighs. Take one more breath. And then bring your right foot to your left inner thigh. So it's similar to tree pose, what we just did standing, where you have this bent shape with the thigh. If your knee hovers quite a bit off the ground, place something underneath the thigh or the hip to support it. Okay? Now if you're in a chair, you can cross your ankle on top of your opposite thigh. And that could be the start of your pose. Maybe you stop right here. You can feel it opening through the inner thigh, the groin, the outer hip. If you'd like to deepen this, with or without a strap, you start to lean forward. Aiming your belly button towards your knee, keeping your chest open. The strap just extends your reach. You could also walk your hands out on the floor. And take a few breaths here. And with your next inhale, walk yourself back up and switch sides. The other leg goes out, foot comes to the inner thigh. Could even be lower on the leg if you prefer. If you're seated, remember you cross the foot over the knee and keep your foot flexed. If you need support, place it under your thigh. You can lift yourself up here. Use your strap around the ball of the foot if that makes it easier. Otherwise, lean forward, walk your hands out as much as you like. Of course, the further forward you go, the more intense it is. I love this posture because it's like a multi-purpose. You get a hamstring stretch for the straight leg, hip opener, it's even a back stretch. Anytime we fold forward or bow inward towards ourselves, it has a calming effect on our nervous system, especially the longer we stay. Make adjustments as needed. And get comfortable. 1 or 2 more breaths. And slowly help yourself back up. And let's make our way onto our backs. So if you're doing this from a chair, of course you just stay seated and skip this part. You can kind of modify a little bit. I'm just gonna do a twist here. Set up for a little longer rest. So begin with your feet flat to the floor, knees bent. And then let's take the arms out wide, palms face up. And have a breath or 2 here, just mapping out the back of your body against the ground. And feel gravity weighing down on you, helping you to recline and rest. And then when you're ready, let's shift the knees over to the right. You could stack them. Mine are staggered, that's fine. Notice if your left shoulder peels off the floor. See if you can lean it back a little bit closer towards the ground. Doesn't have to rest completely, but it will just give you a longer line of opening from your left armpit down through the left hip, even across the thigh. Option to turn your head towards your left hand. Take one more breath. And then slowly come back up. Walk your feet back to center and now over to the other side. So knees go to the left. Maybe your head turns to the right. Try to keep that right shoulder heavy. And feel that whole outer seam of your right side elongating. Take one more breath. And then come back to center. And bring your knees into your chest and just roll them around in a little circle. Little or big, whatever is comfortable for your back. It's like you're massaging your sacrum, that bony part on the back of your pelvis. Go the other direction. And then we'll come into the best pose yoga has to offer, Savasana, corpse pose. And this is simply an opportunity to relax, to rest. So traditionally you'd lie on your back, your legs about the width of your mat or a little wider than your hips, arms beside you, maybe the palms up. If this does not feel comfortable, which for many of us it doesn't, you can place a blanket underneath your knees, and that could give you some support for your low back. Your legs could also go to rest on the seat of a chair, so your calves would rest on the seat, and that can feel more comfortable too for any low back issues. You could do this sitting in a chair as well. Which I will kind of mimic, just so you can hear me a little better. Give myself a time check. Let's go just for a few more minutes. So we'll end here in Savasana today, letting all of your effort go, all of the work, all of the muscle energy and actions. None of that matters now. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Let your breath be natural. And notice yourself relaxing with each exhale. Soften your face, your eyes, your jaw, your tongue. Let your shoulders, arms, and hands rest. Feel the support of the floor, and somewhere underneath that, the earth holding your back. Relax your hips, relax your legs, down through the knees, the shins, all the way into the feet and the toes. I encourage you to stay here for as long as you like, even 5 to 10 minutes. And give yourself this time to enjoy simply being.